Hey everybody, just me again, giving you a quick little review on a depth finder that I find works very well for shore fishing. Now, all over the country there are these little ponds that nobody knows about. There's some of them here in Minnesota that are even called lakes, and let's be honest, they're not necessarily lakes. You go to the DNR website. Minnesota has a wonderful website. You can go to what's called their lake finder. You can find whatever little body of water you're looking at, and for the most part, if they've done a study on that pond or lake, they will tell you what's in it. Now, upside downside, if they haven't done a study, guess what? There's nothing on it. Now, a lot of these little ponds here in Minnesota, at least, they do have fish. I have found, I go on Google Maps and I start cruising around something in my area, and I find these little 10 acre ponds, and then you don't know how deep they are. You don't know what you're really looking at. Well, Google also has a downloadable program that is Google Maps. With that program, you can back up the date. In my area, right near where I'm currently living, you can go back to 91. With that being said, some of the pictures are not necessarily in chronological order, but you can literally see some of these townhouse complexes and things like that where they've built the ponds. So my general rule of thumb is it's got to be at least 8 years old, and I pull up with this little deal called the FishHunter. Now, this is the base, typical USB charge port, nice, easy. On the bottom of the FishHunter, it's got 3 little pins, and that right there is what goes in the water. It's castable, so it's got a little loop there. You don't want to really zing this thing out there, unless you got some serious test, like a 65-pound braid and a pole to handle it, because this thing is pretty hefty. I haven't weighed it. I don't have anything that goes down to, let's say an ounce or 5 ounces or whatever. But I can tell you it's got some weight to it. So when you zing this thing out there, it doesn't take much to get it to go a long way. Also, that being said, you can outcast its capability of distance. It is a Bluetooth unit, not a Wi-Fi unit. There are other ones out there that are Wi-Fi. I do plan on down the road finding some of those and testing those out, because like I said in my first video, I shore fish a lot. So these are very nice. You can go and pull up to that pond. It's 8 years old. It's been there a little bit. You got an area you can walk into, and it's nice and easy to grab this with your old pole, your old heavy pole, or $29 Walmart special. Toss this thing out there. Take a look at your phone, because it links up with your phone, nice and easy, and see what's there. Oh, look, it's 15 feet deep. There's a possibility for fish. Start slowly retrieving. You can look at the depth finding part of it, and hey, look at that, it marked a couple fish. What are they? Lord only knows. But at least you know there's something in there. Then you can start throwing lures. Walk back to the truck, grab what you want, grab your whole tackle box, wheel it over, start throwing stuff. You may or may not catch something. That's part of fishing. It's not catching, it's fishing. So I found quite a few little ponds in my area have bass in them. Stuff that is not marked. I know of one little pond that I found a 24-foot deep spot. We went out there ice fishing a couple years ago, got a 26-inch northern out of that pond. Panfish that are the size of a dinner plate. These little ponds have no pressure, especially here in Minnesota. We're land of 10,000 lakes. Everybody, Lake Harriet, for example, Lake Calhoun, or you go out, a little bit out of the metro, you go Lake Minnetonka, there's all these different lakes that everybody thinks of, but they don't look at these little ponds. So and everybody being in a boat, because it's, again, Minnesota, it seems like everybody and their brother has a boat. They have no problem hopping in a boat and going fishing. Shore fishing's a little more challenging. I kind of like the challenge, so give me a minute here. I'm going to flip over. I got a bowl of water here. I'm going to change direction on the camera and get the program set up on my phone so you guys can see it. Alright, so I can't figure out how to make this thing switch to the other camera, so for this video I'm going to play this game. So I have right here the app on my phone, and I'm just going to go continue. Comes up the FishHunter, searching for my location. It's got a kind of a deal with that. I'm going to just go right down here to Sonar. It gives you a selection. Now I have the lowest one on the totem pole, so choose your sonar. And on that screen it comes up with my sonar, which isn't in the is not in the water yet. There's the puddle of water. I'll call it a puddle. The bowl. But before we get to that, you got low, medium, high screen speed. You've got ice fishing. I'm going to select that for now because I want to show you guys that feature, which I use because it's awesome. It's great. We're going to go high. We're going to hit there. And now it's looking for the sonar. But because it's not in the water, it's not going to see it. So there's the bowl of water. You can see the little lights, the LEDs kicked on. And so now it's found it. So you got your different features here. You can go raw data, change your units, all that kind of thing. Hit that back up, and then you go over here and you can change your range, you can change your gain, you can change your sensitivity, your surface filter. The surface filter is nice. You could set that thing up. You're ice fishing, right? So you got 3 feet of ice, 2 feet of ice. Surface filter, 2 feet. Now it doesn't worry about that top 2 feet, so it doesn't see the ice and mess with that. So you got your graph that scrolls here. Now that I've messed with things, it takes a second to redo its voodoo. But all in all, you got your gain. Let's change our gain higher, whatever. Well, we're just messing around for right now. But, and you can go, like I say, the flasher function works great. Now, anybody that's got a Vexilar has had where you hook a fish, you're pulling that thing up through the hole, and you're fighting it. You got both hands full, one on the rod, one on the reel. How do you pull your Vexilar line out? Your transducer. You don't have to worry about with this. The thing floats. So you just pull your fish up. If it ends up on the ice, kick it back in. No big deal. So it has its advantages. Disadvantages in the cold like that, the shelf life of running this thing is only 3.5, 4 hours. But being a typical USB, if you've got one of those little pocket chargers, if you've got one of those little battery boxes guys are building out of an ammo can, you put a little battery in there and a cigarette lighter or whatever, you can charge it up. It charges pretty quick. I've been really happy with it. You're ice fishing, you don't have to have it. It's nice for me I pull up, I find a place where I'm thinking about setting up my house, I punch a hole, drop it in, see what I can see. I jig for a couple minutes. If I can see some fish or maybe some structure, something I think is going to work, I check with my Navionics because sometimes you find things that way. Honestly, I go through my Navionics. I find a lake that I'm going to go to for ice fishing, or any fishing for that matter. On a regular lake, pull up Navionics. I find the structure or the what I want to see on that map, a drop off, whatever, and I use Navionics to get me close. Then I pull this thing out and I get me right on the money, right where I want to be. It's a great tool. It's only one of the tools used for fishing. And somebody like me that's shore fishing, it works great. That way I can find that right area to be, because I got a lot of ground to cover. I can't be out in the middle trolling. I don't have that option. I'm stuck on shore, and sometimes I got to beat down a path to get to where I'm going. So use things like this to your advantage. They are a wonderful tool, but only one of the many tools. Use some common sense. Use some knowledge. Think about what you're fishing for. Navionics, you can go online. You can use a computer, scout things out before you leave. Use those Google Maps like I was talking about. You can look on Google Maps, and it's amazing. You can see a signpost off a path and judge. You can use the measure part of that to go, okay, it's 100 feet from this signpost to the place where I want to go in. You walk up to that 100, you can turn the corner 100 feet, so step it off, walk in, and you're there. Toss this in the water, you can find that point, find that structure, and go. So, alright guys, I'm going to finish this one up. Happy fishing, tight lines, be safe out there.